Welcome back to episode 3 of the series titled Digital CFO, an insider's guide to where finance and technology meet. And again, I'm kindly joined by Simon Smithers. And we want to talk about emerging technology and how you can best set yourself up as a business and indeed a finance function to take advantage of what is a very fast evolving area. So Simon, when you talk about emerging technology, what are the big things that we need to be looking out for that are on the horizon in our role as a CFO or aspiring finance leader?
Oh, I think, James, a lot of what was emerging is now here today, So we quite often talk about artificial intelligence, machine learning, and they sounded like they were very much future technologies. For some, maybe they still are, but in the world of SaaS, they're here today. So and that's been, I guess, a possibility because of the compute resource that's now available that just simply wasn't possible from an on-premise outfit. Yeah, I think I'm looking forward to today's conversation. I think we'll talk about a few different scenarios, but effectively anything where you've got large amounts of data and the use cases just start sort of appearing of how you could farm that data to provide useful information, intelligence, if you like.
Yeah, and I think to that point, in particular, you've got things like machine learning, really, which is where it's probably the technology that's arrived today and is very much real and really helping businesses. Whereby machine learning, I just think it's simple pattern recognition. So this is having algorithms that can spot pattern in data far faster than humans could ever do, or indeed that humans might never be able to do, just because of the sheer quantities you're talking to, the compute power needed or data to be analysed. And I mean, obviously, other technologies that we might talk about later, things like robotics or blockchain as well, have arrived, and again allow things like track and trace or allow automation of processes, and that's a very fast evolving area. But if we start with machine learning, what do you think again businesses could kind of do to help themselves take advantage of that technology?
Well, like we've spoken about before, it's about the platform, isn't it? Whilst you can get add-on components to start doing this for you, organizations really want to look to where they're going with their core systems, their core financial systems, and look to ensure that these emerging technologies are embedded in them from the ground up, because that's how they're going to obviously get the most out of them. Because it's not only, like you said before, James, it's not only being able to have the machine learning to trawl through that data, but it's also got to then provide insight and action to it as well. Yeah, it's not just recognizing the data, but be able to do something proactively.
Yeah.
The automation side of what we're seeing as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think you talked to something which, certainly I talk to a lot of CFOs and a lot of businesses out there, and I still see in the corporate landscape a whole lot of siloed IT systems, disparate systems that aren't really talking to each other properly. I suppose, in a way, that makes life very difficult, because now if you want to take advantage of things like machine learning that is based on data and lots of data, you end up needing to build your own data warehouse or data lake, and then apply the machine learning on top of that. I think the business can really help themselves by looking, zooming out one moment and going, look, if you can get all your data and all your ERP systems, in fact, all the systems that are running your business onto the same data platform. So you've got that unified data model, that single source of data, and best in the cloud, and certainly better again where it's software as a service, just so that you've got that sort of evergreen application onto staying up to date. then embedded in those applications, you can have machine learning that will do the pattern recognition. I mean, just some good examples. I like to colour this in for the audience. Things like fraud detection, and it might be just a simple case of spotting duplicate payments or spotting the vendor that doesn't quite fit. That could be a fraudulent entry in your records, or indeed on the customer experience side, where you can and many examples. Anybody that's trying to shop online now will see these sort of examples where products are suggested to you, where they've looked at the pattern. They've gone, well, people who buy this, and this typically want to buy that, and that, and that is all based on machine learning. And of course, the more data that you're basing this on, the cleverer and more accurate it becomes in its suggestions. And the point I want to really kind of highlight here is that as a business, if you are able to present all of this data on one platform, so that your ERP system, your CX system, is in fact the same as your ERP system, which is in fact the same as your supply chain system. It is much easier, but you've got a wider, broader spectrum of data to analyze, because the idea that businesses today are in fact these siloed functions that kind of don't talk to each other is ridiculous. It's insane to be thinking like that. It'd be like having a body where your left arm doesn't really attach itself properly and doesn't know what the right arm's doing, which is actually seriously the case. Or it's been integrated in some manual way that involves it's kind of been stitched on really badly, and it was liable to fall off after a year or two when you upgrade the other arm. So I think to my mind, that's really the biggest advantage of having the solid platform, the solid foundations with which to take on board new evolving technology in the easiest way possible, because it's been delivered to you through a SaaS model, where you don't need your own IT project, you don't need your own separate funding, or indeed imagination to work out what to do with all this data, if somebody's able to deliver that to you, to your doorstep.
Yeah, I agree, James. The other thing is it's all very well being on that platform, but like we've spoken about before, you've got to make sure that that platform is evolving, because this is an area that is evolving at a rapid pace, and you need to be able to take those updates in this technology when they're ready and available, rather than traditionally on a on-premise type environment where they're delivered, and then maybe every year or two you take that logic that is the enabler. So
yeah, that's true, and you see this, don't you? I mean, I think there's some companies that are so good with data, and they're the ones with the really high PE ratios. They're the ones that the stock market love. They're the ones that have actually got their data story, their data house in order, and they're really able to use it as a way of catapulting forward and propelling their growth. Which, I mean, ultimately, if you're a CFO and you're trying to get people excited in this stuff and trying to find that compelling reason to tell your CEO and tell the board, why do you need this ERP system, this seemingly less important back office system? Why the board need to understand that this is the core, this is the backbone of the skeleton that is your business. I mean, and you've got to have, if that is in fact part of the same system, the same platform that your CX is plugged into, your supply chain is plugged into, that your human capital management system is plugged into, you are able to deliver a better customer experience. Ultimately, that helps your business grow. And if that's not something that any CEO is interested in, typically it's customer experience and growth, and how you can help deliver that as a CFO, you certainly have their attention. But being able to explain why, and it is a data story, and the fact is that data doesn't sit in silos anymore. To give this a bit of an illustration, for instance, your customer data, you might have a customer record of that first interaction with a customer, and that goes into what you call like an old-fashioned CRM system, and then that prospect, if you like, becomes your customer. Oh, and now they're doing business with you. You've now got them in your accounts receivable system, and then they're online and they're ordering, and now that product that they want to buy, you can't deliver it tomorrow. It's going to be a week, or it's going to be 2 weeks time. Well, to deliver that information to them, you need to be plugged into your supply chain system. So you can see how all of these data, they're not data silos. They actually all belong, kind of horizontally across the business. And having that single source, you only want to put in that customer information once. You don't want to have to, or put it into one system while they're a prospect, and now they're a customer. Let's move it to another system, into accounts receivable record. And now they're using our online platform dealing with us here. I'm going to put it into another system, which is actually, I see it all the time, and it's crazy. I kind of understand why it's like that, because that's a legacy thing. But people have to be clear in terms of their planning, have a clear view of what that end state looks like, which, to my mind, can only sensibly be one platform on an evergreen SaaS platform, which just keeps up to date all the time, so that there's fast evolving technology, which frankly I don't think any one business is able to keep on top of. You get to enjoy that, because that's getting delivered for you for free. You can spend all your time working out how to take advantage of that new technology, instead of spend time integrating disparate systems in the background, which is actually where all your IT time is spent right now. If you ever open the door and I'll actually ask what these people do, a lot of their time in a lot of these organizations is spent reconciling data, moving data from A to B, and doing a lot of jobs that just simply do not need to be done in this modern world.
Yeah, I think all the organizations, James, are looking for that competitive advantage, aren't they? And I think this is going to be one of the key areas going forward that gives organizations that competitive advantage.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think, Simon, we'll draw it to an end here. The next episode I'd love to talk about is actually understanding why it is that CFOs and information technology leaders and CIOs find it difficult actually to drive this agenda. I mean, it sounds so simple to talk about. Yeah, of course you want to be software as a service. Yeah, of course you want to have one platform end to end across the business running your business, and yet we don't see as much of it as you'd expect. And I think, to my mind, a lot of this is to do with a lack of knowledge in the board, and a lack of knowledge among CEOs, as well as the C-suite. And so I really want to delve into that and understand what perhaps businesses can be doing across the world in order to address this, and help move the digital agenda and the technology agenda along, and get these businesses to where they need to be as fast as possible.